difficult to conduct these sessions for pre-primary, and it's much easier to do it for the primary and the secondary because the comprehension and the understanding is more during the primary and the secondary years. So yeah, I'm going to just quickly show you. This is the Making Thinking Visible book, which was a part of, the Harvard Project Zero course that we did from Harvard. And the book has been basically written by or formulated together by Ron Richard, Mark Church, and Karen Morinson. Okay. And we closely follow the work done by Ron Richard and Mark Church. And they're amazing. So you should really look for their stuff. You will get a lot of things even on Google, and they do a lot of free workshops these days. So if you get in, so I just want to mention there's a basically there's a community, or maybe there's a there's it's an organization that conducts workshops that's called Chapters International, and they do all these workshops, and there are a lot of such free workshops that happen, which is leaded by a lot of eminent people in the field of education. One of them is one of most some of them are Ron Church, and even Kate Murdoch, who is like the mother of inquiry. So very recently, I had attended her workshop, and it's like a completely different learning experience. So I'm just going to share my screen, and just a second. Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to present it. Just a second. Just give me a second until the time it loads. So yeah, so if I say or I break down the words visible thinking routines, I'm sure all of you all will be able to relate to it. Visible is something that you can see, and thinking routines are basically some things or routines that you can do in your class or during your thematic sessions. Especially you can do it during your English and math and the other subjects as well, but they seamlessly extend for science, SS, especially. So, okay, before I get into this, get into the topic of visible thinking routines, I want to just, so this pandemic has, like Anuja said, the days have been really hard for all of us, and just to start on a very positive note, I would like to say that I think affirmations are something that help, and I have seen that or I've experienced it myself. So I would just give it a shout out that all of you should, if possible, do this. Positive affirmations really really help, especially in these testing times. So you can do it in a very very simple way. All you need to do is probably, if you're working with children, or if you're working even at home, you can just put it on your refrigerator. Just put down a few points, or areas where you feel a little low. You can probably put that in positive terms, and you can put it on your refrigerator. I put it on my laptop all the time, a sticky note. And I'm just going to mention a few affirmations that I deeply follow as a teacher. So you can just read through this. And the thing which is very close to me is the work I do matters. So yes, and I am motivating and empowering my students or learners each day. So don't forget, you are special, and you need to make yourself feel special all the time. All right. Okay, so what are thinking routines? I've not put down bigger definitions. However, I've just put down pointers so that it's easily taken in. So they are simple graphic organizers. They make the learning visible, and it's basically used for deeper understanding of the content on part of the children as well as the teacher. So the thinking routines have been, divided into three types. There are routines for introducing and exploring ideas, which we do usually in the beginning before introducing any concept. The second type of routines are the ones which are used for synthesizing and organizing ideas. So basically, if I would have probably introduced a concept, and I have subtopics under those concepts. So after doing one of the topics, subtopic, I would want to probably synthesize and organize my ideas. Then I could do these type 2. And the type 3 thinking routines are usually done at the end, probably to understand what, probably are the challenges that your learners faced, or for even digging deeper into the idea. So if you want to really go into deeper understanding of a particular concept, then the type 3 routines can be used. I have focused more on the type 1 and type 2, and there are innumerable thinking routines. So this is not the end of the thinking routines. What I am doing, I'm just putting across 6 or 7, but I think there are around 20 or more thinking routines. So if I'll try if I can cover it in probably a next session. So these are the very basic ones, and you can use it across. And I have explored and experienced this in my kindergarten classrooms, and it's been a pleasure. So yes. So the first thinking routine is I see, I think, I wonder, and I believe most of us know about this. This routine is used for describing, interpreting, and wondering. Basically, it is used with, it is good with ambiguous and complex visual stimuli. So for I see, I think, I wonder, you usually have to give some kind of a visual stimuli, or you have to give some kind of a provocation, or you need to give some kind of an artifact to the learners, so that they can look at it and then they can dive deep into it, and then they can put down their points. So I'm going to give you a lot of examples which will show you that what is the kind of thinking that, what kind of responses we get from children. So yeah, I think probably these are the, things that we need to look at. Hold on just a second. Okay, so if you see, so what do you mean by I see, I think, I wonder? What do you see? That's the first part. The second bit is, what do you think is going on in that picture? Or what do you think is going on if you see that particular artifact? Okay, and what does it make you wonder? Okay, so if you see over here, there are a few examples. So there was a class wherein spiders were given, and look at the wonderful responses that children have put down under I see, I think, I wonder. So they say that the spider has 8 legs, it has a head, it is small, it's a friendly spider, probably because the spider did not do anything to the child, and it can crawl. I wonder, does the spider have teeth, or are they really poisonous? Do the spiders have stripes? And how do they make webs? So that's the wonder question after looking at it. So I have still not dived into the topic. I've just, given this as a visual stimuli before even starting my topic. And I want children to come up with those questions. So, and I think that spiders have dots. Spiders are insects. They have 8 eyes. They have 8 eyes, and then the child has written they have 2 eyes. Okay, so basically these are all the things that come to their mind after they see a visual stimuli or after they see a provocation. So I'm not going to read through each and every. However, I would request you all to just quickly glimpse through all these the examples that I've put in, because that is something that will really help you to take your class forward. I will also show you the ones that I have done personally, or my team has done personally with our kids in school. These are some examples that I've put in together for the workshop. So if you see over here, it's written, so maybe there was a picture, or there was a video, even you can even show a video or a picture. And after seeing that, I can see a bright tornado. It is a tornado in the blue sky, which is sipping all the bad things of our world. So that's such a deep understanding by the child. So the child thinks that the tornado is going to come and it's going to sip away all the bad things of the world, but he's wondering how's that being created, how. So you're getting that, you're also getting your questions from this, that what, in what direction are you supposed to lead your lesson. So of course this is not for a kindergarten classroom, this is for a higher classroom or a higher grade classroom. And the best part about this is because these children can put down their feelings or their wonderings in words, it is much easier, like I said, for a primary and a secondary class. However, with kindergarten it's a challenge, but it's so interesting to get to get those answers even from the kindergarten classroom. So I'm going to just flash that as well. So yeah, that's my kindergarten classroom. So that's if you see, the child has drawn, I see happy cows eating garbage. But I think the cow is sad because he is sick. And so what will I take from the cow, of the cow? 1 second. How, who will take care of the cow? So that's the kind of questioning or the wonderings that come from children. uh, Okay, so if you see on the extreme left, we had done a topic of Independence Day, and we did an I think I wonder routine, and we had got some beautiful answers from the learners, and how well we can put it up on our board as well. So visible thinking routines are basically visible. So if you want, your parent community can come and see it, they can actually see what their learners have written. And what we do at school is we can put down the anecdotes or the records or the things that children say, whatever things that children say, and then the teacher writes it down, and then we put it. So children usually just illustrate, and the teacher writes down whatever they say in very short terms, and then we put it up. So that's your board. This was a thinking, the I think I wonder, that we did in school while we were, not in this remote learning mode, and we were in the physical mode. So if you see, we had shown them different patterns, and we were asking them that which pattern would belong to probably which animal. And if you see the teacher in the right picture, the teacher is showing it to each and every learner. And if then we have noted down the I think I wonder, in the center picture, you can see that all the seeing, thinking, and wondering has been put together. So yeah, that's about the I think I wonder. I believe people have got an idea or understood this concept of I think I wonder. We can take up questions, if any, at the end, since I will go ahead with the presentation, and probably at the end, if you all have some specific questions about each thinking routine, I'll be happy to answer that. Okay, we'll go to the next thinking routine, which is again a type 1 routine, which is called 3-to-1 bridge. It's again for introducing and exploring ideas. So it is used for activating prior knowledge, for questioning, for distilling, and connection making through metaphors. Of course, the metaphor part applies to, I think, the secondary grades or grade 3 and above. It really works well with students having prior knowledge, but instruction will move it in a new direction, can be done over extended time during the course of the unit. It can be, like I said, there are certain units that extend themselves. So you can do it in the beginning, you can do it in the, after you finished some bit of it, and you can do it at the end. And yes. So if you see the left image, I've tried to show an example of how you can put it forward. So 3 words, 2 pictures, and 1 sentence. So if I'm doing a unit, okay, or if I'm showing them a picture, or if I've done a topic of animals, for example, very basic example, if I've done a topic of animals, and I want children to basically synthesize and put down their ideas in the form of a thinking routine to understand. So I will say, which are the 3 words which were the takeaway from this topic? Any 2 pictures that you can put down, and 1 sentence, sorry, and 1 sentence that comes to your mind after this topic is done. Sorry? Okay. So on the right image, it's a good example of the topic of dolphins was done, and what's the kind of thinking that has been put down by a child. So three things that I've learned. So if you could just quickly read through it, I'm just going to give you a minute so that you understand that how children synthesize learning after it has been taught. So dolphins can use echolocation to communicate. They are social because they like to be together, and they like to do flips and lay on their back, which were the two interesting facts. So they have an inner ear, and they click, squeak, and whistle. And the question that I still have after the topic has been covered: how long can dolphins stay above water? So if you see, if you do it like at the end of the unit, there are things that you have learned, there are things that have been very interesting, but there are questions that your children still have at the end. So it helps you know where you are, whether you've been able to cover the topic really well, whether your children have taken the concept really well. Some more examples, and I love this one. So if you see, what's the initial response? So the teacher had done this two times, in the beginning, before the lesson was before the topic was introduced, and later. So if it was it's for what was for the topic of natural resources. So the initial response of the child was, when you talk about natural resources, he knows that it's soil, trees, and water. And what were the questions? Where do natural resources come from? How does soil help people? And what is one simile or metaphor? So usually when you're dealing with higher grade classrooms, you can use this topic of simile and metaphor. The fertile soil spreads like butter. And later on, if you see the response, the child has written, he understands the three words like hydroelectric, renewable energy. And why can't we stop using non-renewable energy and only use renewable? And is renewable energy cost effective? And water is liquid gold. So you see the kind of shift that has happened, and you can absolutely understand that your children have taken the topic and the kind of comprehension that have happened, because the teacher did this 3 to 1 bridge in the beginning and at the end of the topic. So yeah, so that's an example from my school, and we did the story Room on the Broom, and very very simple. So three words that you take back from the story, two pictures, and one sentence. So how beautifully and how simply has a kindergarten child put it. So it just helps the teacher to understand, has the child actually taken back something from the topic? Has he been able to synthesize information to comprehend the learning that has been done or taken forward by the teacher? There's one more example. So this is from a junior KG. So that was from a senior KG class. This is from a junior KG class. And I love the responses that the child has given. So the three things that I know, two things I have learned, and one thing I will do for it. So three things that he has learned is about ocean animals, about seaweeds and corals, and about rocks found in the ocean. Then two things that I have learned. Okay, he's learned about blue whale, which is found in the ocean, and crabs live on rocks and water. And one thing that he would want to do is keep ocean clean and prevent water pollution. So how very well the child has actually drawn it. And because we were in a virtual mode, the parent community has been really really very supportive, and I would extend a big gratitude to each parent, because they've done their bit in helping the school. So yeah, of course, the things have been written down by the child's mother. However, the drawing has been done by the child. So yeah, that's about 3 to 1 from the junior KG classroom. And one more, that's from an English class. So so basically 3 to 1 is also called an exit card. So basically when you end a topic, you can do an exit card, which is a 3 to 1 routine again. So three things that you learn, two things that you find interesting, and one question that you still have. And this is again like a junior KG class, and if you see it, it was done for an English unit, and which is usually related to jolly phonics. So the child has written everything much related to the words. So man, cat, dog, and he's written hat and rat. And this was something I did not really understand. One question I still have. So yeah. Okay. Moving on to the third thinking routine, that is, I used to think and now I think. This is a type 2 of the routine. Like I said, there are three types of thinking routines. This is used for synthesizing and for organizing ideas. It's for useful for reflecting and metacognition. So metacognition is basically thinking about your own thinking. So you're thinking whether you understood something and then you're putting it down. It used to help learners reflect on how their learning has shifted and changed over time. And if you see, the thinking routine itself says that I used to think this, but now I think that it's shifted. So okay, and I'll move on to the examples. Okay, and this is a wonderful, wonderful reply by the child. So he says that nonfiction was just, I thought that nonfiction was just full of facts. I used to open nonfiction books and see all that writing. It looked like so much is there to read because I turned every page and quickly glanced and I just stopped it. So this child felt that nonfiction was too much of written matter. Okay, and he's actually put it down that I used to think nonfiction is so boring and so much of written matter is there. But when the whole topic was done by the teacher, the child says that it had so many interesting things, like it had diagrams, it had graphs, it had photographs, and all the text that was written was along with the text features, and there was a glossary, there was table of contents, so I could look at all those things. And he realized that nonfiction is not boring and nonfiction is something that I would go ahead and read henceforth. So that was one kind of an example for I used to think and now I think. This is a very simple example by a child. So that people in the mountains didn't do other than, you know, what did the people in the mountains do? They used to just sleep and eat. Okay, that is what sorry, in the right image it's written this. Okay, and then the child came to know, and then the child is saying that they do so much. They keep animals, they take care of the animals, they do a lot of other things. So see how the thinking has changed. So basically, what is the thought process that I had come with before I actually was introduced to this lesson, and how's that thought process changed after the lesson has been done by the teacher. And this is a very, very good reflection on part of the teacher, because she gets to know that how much have I achieved actually with each and every child. And you know, and trust me, we have done this even with our, like I said, I work with the kindergarten, we've done it with the kindergarten. And so you get to know. So when we do these thinking routines, and when we arrange things, or when we put up all the provocations, and when we ask the children to go and see, they actually are able to put it down. You know, they're able to put it in words. They can speak about it, however they can't put down on paper. And that's what the teacher needs to do in the pre-primary grades. And there's a lot of deep understanding in the children, but it's just that they're not able to kind of express it out. So this is, I used to think, and now I think on part of the teachers, I used to think it was best to plan all learning engagements at the beginning of the unit. But now I think it is best to plan interesting units throughout basically, and not just at the beginning. So this is a reflection of the thinking routine on part of the teacher, that you know that learning happens throughout. So I will not just put such engaging or enriching things just at the beginning. And since we have three types of routines that can be done, we can do it at any point of time. So that's on part of the teacher. So that's one more example from school. So if you see the the child, what was a balanced diet and what was obesity? Okay, what the two questions that were posed to the children? I thought fat is not a nutrient, and I think it is minor problem of eating junk food. So basically obesity is just a little problem related to eating junk food. However, after the session the child writes balanced diet is eating right proportion of food, and obesity means excessive weight gain. Fat is a nutrient and it is a huge problem. So obesity is a huge problem. So you see how the shift has happened from I used to and now. So yeah, that's the next thinking routine. So do you want me to just is it going too fast, Anuja? I mean, I can't see anybody, so
No, we're
I'm just
good. We're good.
should we just continue or pause? I mean,
No, I think continue. It's good, if you want to just continue with all the ideas that you have, and then maybe we
at
could
the
take a
end,
few,
yes,
yeah,
I have a
questions
small
at the end.
activity at the end as well that we can do. So
Sure.
yeah, I think I'll complete everything. Okay.
Great, great.
Uh, the next routine is color, symbol, and image, which is again a type 2 routine. And I love this routine because my kindergartners or my early years children can do this very well. It's a non-verbal routine that forces visual connections. Like it says by itself, it's a color, symbol, and image. And I have a lot of examples because our children love this routine. So color, symbol, and image is basically if I'm doing a topic and I want the children to take it back in the form of, so if you see, choose a color that you think best represents the essence of that idea. Create a symbol that you think best represents the essence of that idea. And again, sketch an image that you think best represents the essence of the idea. So if you see, a color symbol image has been done by a child for himself, and this is something that we will also be doing at the end. So the child represents himself with the color yellow because I have very, the child says because he has bright thoughts he chooses the color yellow, and that's quite deep, when a child speaks about it. I think I have too many questions, and so he gave himself a symbol of a question mark, and an image is a clock, and the child says that I need to use it. So basically maybe the child needs to learn a little bit more of time management, and so himself he's given a clock or a watch, a clock to himself, and that's been so transparent. So if you see, the child has described himself so well. So I love this image. I mean, how well has the child written down things about himself or herself. um, So there's another child, if you see, has written very similar response on the right image. Because I try to be bright and optimistic, I choose the color yellow. Because I have too many questions or because I'm extremely curious, I have used the question mark. And the child loves music, and so he reads and he also loves music. So he's drawn a book and then he's put those musical notes. So I normally learn by reading and listening music. So how wonderfully the child has expressed himself. uh, Sorry. So if you see the image on the left, the child says the color light pink mixed with red, because these colors mixed together is kind of the color of our brain that we used to learn. So there are three dots. I choose this symbol because for me it can mean expand ideas and thinkings while learning. Again, this is so deep. So the child has put three dots and he's saying that I can expand my learning. So that's why he's put this. And I chose this image because it is a student holding a hand of a teacher, that the teacher will support him always. And that again is so wonderfully put and shows that what children expect from us. So, the meanings of the symbol and the image in the first part is really very deep, and it does, make tell us that children look upon to us for a lot of support and extended learning. So yes, that's from the first image. So this is just an example of how you can put it. Okay, so that's the kindergarten classroom again. So we were doing communities as a part of our Q2 theme in junior KG. And we did the color symbol image, and how beautifully have the children put down their understanding. So your the left part is the Maharashtrian community, the Gujarati community, and the Sikh community. So the child has put down the colors that he represents for that community, and then the symbol. So if you see, there is a dhol in the Maharashtrian, there's a turban, which is very important, and the symbol for Gujarati is the dandiyas. So, and the images, the kite for Gujarati community, and the Kolhapuri chappals for the Maharashtrian community. So that's really deep. So when we were doing the communities, we were telling them the kind of clothing that they do wear, and the kind of food that they eat, and the, even looking, even the footwear that they wear. So the child has kept that in mind, and he's put that down so well. And that the Sikhs go to the Gurudwaras, so he's put down the place of worship. So if you see how well a junior KG child has put down his CSI, or the color symbol image activity, and children enjoy this, especially during the virtual mode. And I'm saying this with a lot of experience, because my teachers have been enjoying the visual thinking routines, and I have done this whole workshop with my teachers as well, and we are exploring more routines than the ones that I've put up in this presentation today. And they love it. The children just love it. So this is another example of the color symbol and image, which is for the autumn season. So the child says for the color, he's chosen colors like orange, because orange and red and yellow are the colors of autumn. He has shown an empty tree, because all the leaves are fallen down or they shed off. So he's shown like an empty tree. And the child has drawn himself. I see myself walking, and the leaves are fallen all behind me. So a wonderful depiction. This is by a senior KG child, and it's something that I love. I mean, the children have expressed themselves so beautifully. So like I said, this works wonderfully with the pre-primary, because they can do the color symbol and image very well. However, the teacher support or the parent support is required to put down their thoughts, because at times those minute details which they want to actually say are missed. Or if I see this image, I might probably understand a little bit of it, but I will not be able to comprehend it completely. So that support by the teacher or the parent in the virtual mode is very much important to put down the child's thoughts. So yes, that's about the color symbol image. Even with the nursery grades, we've tried I Think, I Wonder, the color symbol image, the 3-2-1 bridge. And, it becomes easy to do things in junior and senior. However, with the nursery grades, I feel that you should take it a little easy, and you should not do these things in the beginning of the year. We started exploring the thinking routines with our learners after the first semester. So after they are very well settled with the school, they know their teachers very well, they're comfortable with their class. After that, we kind of explore these things, because they need that time to settle down with the new school, because they are entering the school for the first time. So please don't rush when you are doing such things with the pre-primary, I would say. However, with nursery, please take it very, very easy, and you yourself have to gauge whether the children are enjoying the process. So you are the predictor whether some things work for your classroom. It can be that some classroom or one division of your entire nursery enjoys it, but the other two don't, I would suggest that you should think back and decide if you want to do this activity if your class is enjoying it. Because we in our school we take that feedback from teachers, and if we feel that it's not really working very well, we will have a thought and we'll discuss with the team together, and probably we might discontinue it. So don't force it upon children, but see the flow. We'll go to the next routine, which is the connect, extend, and challenge. And I would say connect, extend, and challenge applies from kindergarten. You can't do this routine with the nursery children because it's very deep to understand. Even with junior KG, it becomes a little difficult. However, we have done this with senior KG in the second semester at the end of the year, and they just enjoyed it. This is again a second type of thinking routines. I'm going to quickly take you through pictures because that helps you to understand things better. So connect, extend, and challenge is basically, connect means what is the prior knowledge that you already connected with. So this is usually done after a provocation or a visual representation or a video or something has been shown to the children, and then I come to this. Okay, this routine is done later. So the child will so when we did it with the kindergarten class, we took it in bits. So we did the connect part first, then we did the extend part, and then we took the challenge part. So it did take us almost 45 minutes to an hour to do this routine, and there were other teachers who were helping me out because we need to write down whatever they want to whatever they see, and they want to put it down. So there were some learners who were able to write, and like I said, it works very well when you start at the end of kindergarten, and it's an amazing routine for primary and secondary, like I said. So this works wonderfully with primary and secondary. So what are the things that you connected with when you looked at all those visual representations? The second bit is, what is the extension of your knowledge that happened after you after the teacher went through the class? So probably I would say that I know, it can be as simple as I know what were pet animals. This is just very basic example that I'm giving. I got to know what are extinct and endangered animals after the session my teacher did. And the third part is the challenge or the questions that I still have after the unit is over, or if the unit is still going on. So I wonder, how can we save these endangered species? So can we do something on as can humans do something to save the endangered animals? So that's the kind of routine that we are looking at. And I'm gonna so I'm gonna go to this one because you can see it very clearly. However, this child he was not able to probably put down the challenge questions very well, but we'll still read through it. So the child already knew that the caterpillars shed their skin. The caterpillars hatch out of cocoons, and the cocoon is all white, and they have 18 breathing holes. Okay. The next part that the child has written that I didn't know or what extended is that, so that this child has written similar responses at a lot of places. So it could be, I could just read that he understood about the different types of cocoons, and that they ate different types of leaves. And probably the challenge part was a little challenging, and it was really hard. So he's written really hard. However, probably the question could be much more deeper, understanding what more you want to know about the caterpillars. So, or why do the caterpillars shed their skin? What is the reason behind them shedding their skin? I saw that in the video that they shed their skin, but why do they shed their skin? Probably would be the question some child would come up with. So an example of what happened in our classrooms. So which type of pollution? So we did a read aloud with the learners, and these are the questions that were put. So I've just put that down. Which type of pollution was mentioned in the read aloud? and who was affected by it. So the child has written water pollution. What did you learn from this read aloud? So the free penguins, they get to know about the free penguins. So there was a read aloud that we did, and the read aloud dealt with certain kind of uh, basically talking about the animals, since we were doing the unit of animals. And what questions do you have in mind after reading the book? And probably in the read aloud there was some things related to the penguins staying somewhere, and so the child has asked, how can penguins stay in a box? So that's how a kindergarten child has put that. So I will try to read probably one more response. So it says over here, so I knew that poetry could have rhythm, they rhyme. There is an order in which a poem flows. So this was about poetry. What are your learnings about the poetry? So I learned that poems, so it says that the child is saying that the child learned about that the poems have figures of speech, and the poems also tell you stories. And the challenging part is, the child is asking that how does a poetry affect or poetry change our life? So that is the kind of response that you can probably expect from a child, maybe in a primary or a secondary grade. So yes, it helps us to know what the children have understood and the leading questions that they might still have at the end of the class. Okay. So the next kind of thinking routines, this is very, very simple, and it is usually done at the end to get the essence of the whole topic. And like the word says, headlines, it's like putting down headlines, or else you are summarizing or you're capturing the heart of the entire content that you have delivered. So using headlines to summarize our reading. Yeah, okay. So over here, they were doing something about the Mother Earth, and they've put up the headlines: Save the Earth, Planet Power, Help the Earth, Energy of the Earth, Keeping our Planet Clean, The Power of Sunlight. So that's the grade 2 part. And over here, they're talking about if there was no transport. So no moving, transportation, no trains, no moving, moving without moving, no transport, then no going to places. So it basically gives you the whole a sense of the topic, and usually done with primary and the secondary grades. We have not tried this routine with the kindergarten learners. And it's a very simple thinking routine. I don't really feel that there will be too many questions from this thinking routine, because it's very self-explanatory, usually as the headlines of the newspaper as well. So this routine helps students capture key points being studied, captured, or discussed. Using a few words, students communicate the core message. So basically communicating the heart of the content or of the matter. And I think this is the last of the thinking routines that I'm going to cover, and that's called the tug of war. So we all know what's a tug of war, basically. So this is a type 3 of the thinking routines, and this routine helps you to dig deeper into the ideas. And this routine is also done for identifying, tug of war is basically done in identifying and building both sides of an argument or a tension dilemma. So if you see, it's basically comparison. Okay, it's comparing certain things. So if you see, the classic example of over here is ebooks are great, or and ebooks, no, paper books are better. So there has been a reasoning given down. So why are so there are people who are supporting the ebooks, and then there are people who are supporting the paper books, and we'll be giving post-its to children, and they will write down their reasoning why they feel that the ebooks are better or the paper books are better, and they'll put it up. And it's very important then that you put up these things in your classroom, because in our classrooms what we started doing is we don't put up boards like all the conceptual knowledge all the time, but we put up all of this now that we do in the classrooms. So everything, all the thinking routines that we cover, probably starting from quarter 1, we put it up so that whenever the parents are coming to school, or whenever they visit school, they're able to see their child's understanding. So it's very important to put it up. So if you see, it says, should that public transport system depend on buses or a new train system? And some wonderful ideas have been put down by the learners for and against. So it says bus cheaper is cheaper to build, but then there are higher chances of accidents for buses is what they are saying. However, for trains they are saying, you will have the points for supporting and against, and probably you will have the points for supporting the train and against the trains also. So for buses they've written that it creates a lot of pollution, and also traffic on the road. So trains can be underground. Some people are saying trains can run underground also. Trains can carry many people at a time. So how wonderfully they have explained and put down their points. So that's for train and bus. This was the routine that we did with our senior KG learners. We do a topic of author study at the end of the year, where we are learning about a couple of authors in quarter 4. Okay, so we did in fact we do a lot of authors. So here there are two examples of authors, that is Dr. Seuss and Amy Cruz Rosenthal, and the learners were supposed to tell which author do they support and why. So if you read, there are names of learners written, and there are insights about why do they like that author and what is the reason that they support or don't support that author. So here I'm just going to quickly read. So he uses, says he uses more of his stories are funny, and one of her favorite book is Fox and Socks. For Amy, one child says that she's a good writer, she's making stories for children. So the child feels because she's making stories for children, she's a very good writer. The other says she writes comedy stories. She expresses feelings. So that's how children have been giving answers. And if you see, this was done during the virtual mode, and that's why we are putting it in front of the learners so they can also read and understand how are we doing this thinking routine. And what we've also done is, because we've been using this platform, and probably I want to just extend this to the whole community, that we've been using this app called Seesaw, which is an amazing resource which we've been using through the virtual mode. So it's like it's a bank of so it has both the portals, the teacher portal and the parent portal. The teacher can assign activities. There's a bank of activities for all the subjects across grades. I think it has a lot of resource as in terms of the teaching, the worksheets and activities, right from pre-nursery to grade 2 mostly. I think they do have activities up till grade 5. What we could do through this, so what we did through the entire year is we kept sending activities of course, because the parent has been accessing the child's account. We can send personal messages, we can send video recordings. So everything that we did over here also, we could click pictures of all of this and we can upload it on Seesaw, and the parents can actually see that the kind of learning that has happened. Of course, the parents can see it because they are witnessing the classes in the virtual mode. But I feel that, if it goes to parents, so at the end of the year, we created something which is called as the e-portfolio, which was like, a bank of things that children did through the whole year. And we did it at the end of the year, and the children loved going through it because they could see everything that they did from quarter 1, and they could relate to it, and they could actually, they were also sharing that, oh, we did this for quarter 1, and we did this dress up day for quarter 1, we did this for quarter 2. So yeah, that was about e-portfolio, and that's tug of war for the two authors. So that was the last thinking routine. Okay, uh, I have a slide for, I don't know what's the problem with this. So don't read this. The activity. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So we have an activity that we will do for color, symbol, and image. After the workshop and after all the questions are done, we are going to share a Padlet link, and I would request each one of you to take that 1 minute or 2 minutes to, scribble in and put down your, how did this workshop help you, so that it helps us understand, to helps me understand whether, such kind of workshops do add value, or anything that I could add to the workshop to, probably enhance your understanding further. So your feedback is going to be really valuable, and we'll do this activity. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we are going to be opening the room for questions now.
Yeah, great, Gunjan. Thank you so much. Those ideas were really good. And while you were going, there is one question that is definitely there in the chat box, which you could start with. Until then, if the others have any, we will definitely take them. But somebody was asking about the color. Yeah, I think Savita was asking that the symbol and image, I think the color, symbol, image routine that you sent, that you showed.
Yeah.
So she was just asking if, the symbol and image looks similar. So how can kindergarten children differentiate between them? That what is probably the symbol.
I'm able to get back to my 1 second. Hold on. I'm sorry, just a second.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know why is this not going full screen for me. I wonder how's that happening. Okay,
just go to Zoom homepage, and if I say return to meeting, you need to click on your Zoom homepage.
I did that return to meeting, but I don't know why is this behaving. Oh God. Okay, yeah, okay.
Sorry, yes, Gunjan.
Yes,
you're done.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, there was the question about how do they differentiate between the symbol and the image specifically.
I know it's a little difficult, and you can just tell them. So it's not necessarily, even if you put a symbol and an image, you just have to put two representations. I'm sure that, you won't be able to tell them the exact difference between a symbol and an image, especially in the pre-primary years. So I'm going to give them that benefit of doubt, but you can just tell them probably you have to draw two images which you feel can represent your understanding of that topic.
Great. Okay, so if there are any questions, of course, we'll still take them. Until then, do you want Disha to share the link?
Yeah, Disha can share that link, and I want, if possible, for people to come on screen. So I have this small activity that I want people, and I request people to come on screen. I know everybody is busy and it's vacation time for everyone, but probably everybody, can you just give me a CSI? We'll be doing a short CSI activity for ourselves. So if you all can just scribble down and write a color, symbol, and image that you would represent for yourself. So if you see, the children had represented themselves through a color, symbol, and image. If people here, whoever is fine to just do this and just share it.
So while they're doing that, there's one more question. Can I give that to you, Gunjan?
Yes, please.
So Aarti is asking, with a set curriculum, that's quite time-taking, which, yeah, sometimes it is. So how do you integrate these ideas in your online sessions?
So, of course, like you said, it's a set curriculum. But like I said, you will have to give that ease in your curriculum to add in this session. See, it's like, adding up a session or getting variety or creativity in your classroom is so when you want to do that, you will have to probably speak to the person responsible or in charge about getting these wonderful ideas into your classrooms, and probably the content that you're going to cover is going to be the same. However, the kind of delivery that you're going to do is going to differ. So of course, you're not going to just show it through a PPT. However, you're going to show them a video representation, and you will tell them to take some ideas and put it down. So like I said, when you want to do newer things, you will have to get some kind of change in your process, without which I think nothing can happen. So I do realize with it becomes a little difficult with the set curriculum, but once you start doing it, you will love it, and then you will feel that there's no stopping, and you would want to do it again and again, because you get to know so much about your children and their understanding through these ideas.
Hi Gunjan.
Hi.
Just see my color image and
so Anita,
symbol.
Can you just talk about it? I'm glad that you've shown that.
Color is blue.
Okay, and can you just say why is that color blue?
Blue is a symbol of sky and also of ocean. Okay. And my symbol is book. as we are teachers.
Okay.
So and my image is boat, sailing boat in the ocean. So we as a teacher, we are sailing boat in the ocean of knowledge, and we have to go to the shore of this ocean and reach out to the student.
That's wonderful. Huh? That's really amazing.
That's awesome.
Anita. That's amazing. And before I go to the others, I feel people feel a little shy, and they are a little hesitant.
Yeah, actually
doing this. However, I'll just say, so for me, I'm not putting it down. However, I relate a lot to the color yellow, because I feel, I kind of, I'm always, too choppy, too bright. And, I just like to, I talk a lot about a topic, even while I am with my teachers or at home. So yellow is something that completely depicts my personality. So I relate a lot with color yellow. And the symbol and the image that I truly, connect myself. So the symbol can be a world map, because I'm a traveler and I love traveling. So probably the world map is my symbol. However, the image that I always have is my home, because that is where my heart resides. So even if I go throughout the world, probably my home is the place where my heart is. So I want to come back even after traveling a lot. So that's how I represent myself. So please feel free to do it, because this is a platform where you can just kind of show what about yourself. Probably you can just talk about yourself. Anyone else who wants to just do this?
Yeah, can I share?
Yes.
Can
I think Uttara wants to. Uttara can, go ahead.
Yes, Uttara.
Okay, so I'm trying this for the first time. Okay. I looked at the color. I think of the color blue.
Okay.
Symbol is water. So I thought water is something it takes the shape of whichever liquid, wherever it is poured in. So being flexible and also creating ripples. So as teachers, I think we there's this kind of ripple effect in which children are learning, and it's going forward, and they just spread and spread in different ways.
Amazing. Great. Huh? That was really deep. That was really
deep.
yeah, that was really deep.
Beautiful.
So, see, even if it was your first time, for a first timer, it was really deep.
I think Yesha is all
Yeah.
excited to share
Yes,
hers.
Yesha.
So, hi Gunjan, how are you doing?
Yesha, good. How are
All
you?
right, I'm good. So this is something different. I have not represented myself, but I would say it's the moment. We've just began with a summer break, and I've got some time with my kid now. He's a preschooler for sure. So this is something that I can connect right now.
Okay.
So the color that I represent currently is green, and green because I find it quite calming right now. I have some plants around in the house, and I think I can build that connection now with my kid and the plants. So that's why the color that I represent at the moment is green. Symbol at the moment that I represent myself is a healing heart. I feel we are healing, within with the situations around, and it's very important to heal ourselves. So that's a healing heart, and try to heal people around us. And our young children are at home since 1.5 years. Very very important. So that's why the healing heart for me. And the image that I could just represent, if you see here, is my little son, around a plant and taking care of it. So if you see that, yeah.
Yes, Yesha, that
So,
was really great. And probably a representation that we would wish at this point of time during the pandemic. So great, Yesha.
thank you, Gunjan.
That was
It was a
amazing.
lovely session, Gunjan.
Thank you so much.
Also, Gunjan, before we take more of these, because I think Nilesh sir, he's here after so long. So hi, he also raised his hand. But before we go on for a few more of these, I'd like to just very quickly say thank you, because if somebody wants to leave, I want them to leave with the happy thought that we had a great time today, Gunjan, because that's what I said about experiences and the amount of examples you gave. That really gets us to understand, what you're talking about. All those bullet points are just like, sometimes. And then, all those examples like, oh, that's what you were talking about. So, that kind of moment is what I really felt throughout the session today. And I know we've covered this topic, before as well. But sometimes you do need to keep revisiting it because we kind of forget about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Gunjan, for being with us today. And also I want to very quickly remind everybody, apparently it's the Teacher Appreciation Week going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we all need to really give a clap to all of ourselves, because, oh my God, we are doing a great job, and we don't tell that to ourselves enough, and we don't tell it to our colleagues enough. But hey, you are doing a great job, and just keep it up, keep going. And I also feel it should not be Teacher Appreciation Week. It should be Teacher Appreciation
through
year.
The year.
Yes.
Like
every single day, because you are doing great every single day.
And you should
don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
You should
shout out. If at least we could go and unmute and at least clap for ourselves and go yay. Because we deserve it, right?
Done a great job, and guys, we all deserve it. So please.
We do.
Yes.
So thank you again for everybody for joining us. And yes, we are still going to go ahead with all those questions. But before everybody left, I thought, you know what?
Yes.
This community is beautiful, and we are so happy that, you join our community, you support us, and just keep supporting us. Yeah. And the ones who've not joined our Instagram page, join. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anuja. We are missing Rakhi today.
Yes, Rakhi's a bit unwell. Things are a little, not great there.